Hello, and thank you ever so much for dropping by and coming to watch one of my tutorials. My name is Donna of Taffy Crafting, and I've got a nice straightforward project for you today, introducing to you the gift bag punch board, which enables you to make in all sorts of different sizes. Let's get rid of that because this will clash. Just gift bags. I've not put the tie on this one yet, but I'm going to show you how to put it all together. So it's got some depth to it, and so this is the small size with the width, and I'm going to show you how to make it in different sizes. So this is the piece of kit that we'll need. You'll need a piece of DSP. So I've decided that I want to make the smallest width bag, and that means that my DSP has to be 10 inches wide. If you wanted it a little bit wider, then it would be 11 inches wide, and if you wanted it to be the biggest width, then that would be 12 inches wide. And those measurements are written on here. So the first thing it tells you to do is to trim your paper width to 10 inches, 11 inches and 12 inches. If you're using 12-inch wide paper, you're going to be using this large groove here. If you're using 11-inch paper, we'll be using the medium groove. And if we are using 10-inch paper, we're going to be using the small groove. This is 10 inches wide, so I'm going to be using the small groove. To determine how tall you want your gift bag, then what you do is you take the width that the height that you want. So I want this to be 6 inches high, and you add 1.25 inches. So I have trimmed this paper to 7.25 inches in height, and it is 10 inches in width. So once I've got that, and I'm using the Brushed with Love DSP that only has a nice outside to it, it also has a lovely reverse to it as well. So the inside of your bag is going to look just as nice as the outside. And that's the nice thing about the Stampin' Up DSP. Most of it is printed on both sides, so you have lots of scope with what you're going to do with your paper. So let's get this out. You will see here that there are all sorts of lines and things on here. This is really handy because it gives you an idea of what your paper, once you've punched it all, should look like. So that's really handy to get to that. We've got this start line, and there's a gauge on there as well. This helps us with making the side gussets of the bag. So that's this bit. So if that's the front of the bag, it's this side bit here, and if you can see there, it's got a triangular shape there as well. So it means that the bottom of the box doesn't lose its width, but it means that you can squeeze the top of the box, so that you might want to secure that maybe with like a small bulldog clip or a decorative peg, or in this case we're going to use some pretty trim to go on there, like a ribbon. At the top here, if you can see that we've also got a gauge, and that helps us put all of the holes in it so that we can trim any ribbon that we're using through, if that's how you want to close your bag. And then we also have this gauge here, so this shows us where we're going to line up our paper at the beginning. So let's make a start. So I've got my DSP, and I'm just going to slot that into there. Make sure it's gone all the way up to the top. That way we know it's square. And you then want to align the edge of your paper with the start line, and that's where we are going to start. So the first thing we're going to do is punch that. The punch board comes with a scoring tool, so we'll be using this to make a horizontal line. Try not to drop off the end where that punch board ends there. If you drop off there, you are running the risk of putting a hole in your paper, and that would be annoying. So run the horizontal line there, and because we're using 10-inch paper, like I said, we'll be using the small groove here. So just find the groove there and then run your scoring tool down it. So we've got on the horizontal and the small. Once we've done that, we can then shift the paper across, and we need to align that gauge there. I'm well aware that my nail varnish is severely clashing with this paper, and line it up with the start line here. And now we want to make the side panels, or the side section of it. So we continue with that horizontal line, and where it says side 2, I'm going to find the groove there and go all the way down to the bottom. Then we need to do this bit here, so we do very carefully, don't rush this, otherwise you'll head off down there. Just down to that bit there. Then from here, so that gives us our triangular shape at the bottom of our bag. And on this side one here, you can run down like that. Shift it across, so the very last score line that you made, so the one that's on this far edge, move it across to the start line. Oh, I forgot to punch there. Really sorry. This one here that we made on that side, before we started doing all of this scoring, we should have punched. Move it over and make sure that the first thing you do is punch, so like me, you don't forget. Run that horizontal line across without going over the edge there. We want to run the small line there like that on the horizontal. Move it across. And again, where your last score line was, you're going to punch. Make your triangular score lines there and that one, the horizontal, and this side one there as well. Move it along one more time. Align that with the start line and punch. And then that's all you need to do, you're just left with those bits there. So that's what we've got. The other thing we need to do is put the holes in the top. So I'm going to turn this around that way this time. No, I'm not. I'm going to keep it there. So I'm going to align that there, so the very edge of my paper, with that gauge there, and punch. Move it along to the next score line and punch. Miss out the next one because that's that middle side crease. Move on to the next score line and punch. Along to the next score line and punch. And then over to the very, miss out that middle one, and then over to the very next one and punch. Take that out of the way, we're done with that now. And the next thing we need to do is just trim a little bit here. So we will need to, where that tab is there, we've got this long thin rectangle. You're just going to make a diagonal cut like that. And at the bottom, from that first score line, another diagonal cut. And we've got that. We're then going to fold and burnish all of those score lines. Don't do the middle ones just yet, they're not necessary to do, just these side ones. And then these flaps at the bottom, because these form the base of our box. Okay, then we're left with that. Turn it over to the right side again, and we need our adhesive. I'm just using some double-sided tape for this. You can use wet glue if you want to, or snail or fast fuse, entirely up to you. I like double-sided tape. I don't know why, I just like to use double-sided tape. I can be a lot more accurate with it. Release that there, and I'm just going to fold it over there so I can see my tab here with my glue, and I'm going to fold this over here and just align that up like that. And there I've got my box. So there are the flaps at the bottom to form the base, and there's the top with the holes. So we'll find where our seam is, which is there. That's where I joined that. Put the two side ones in. Bring the back one in and then that's going to fold over there, but we'll put some adhesive on that tab first. You can hear heavy breathing in the background, it's my dog snoring. He sits in here with me when I'm filming. So push that down like that so it's nice and square. And this is the one that's got the adhesive on it. I'm just going to fold that over there like that. Push it down a bit. You can't push it down too much because it'll all fold in. And then turn it over. And then get your bone folder and just give that a prod down there just to make sure that it's all stuck down. And then what you can do is you can just squeeze the top in there. You don't need to press anything in the side. It will form that shape itself because those score lines are there. Just give that a helping hand like that. And that will form that. So now we have the basis of our box. Before I do the handles of the box, I first want to do a stamp. I want to have a label on this, and I've decided that I'm going to use the Starburst punch for that, just because that makes it easier for me to line up my stamped image. The stamps that I'm going to use are the Perennial Birthday stamp set. I'm going to use that, and I'm also going to need a bit of scrap DSP for this, and I've got some white card as well. I've just got some scrap of white card, so I'm going to get my stamps, and I've decided to use this one, which is that image, and this one, which is the here's to celebrating you image, and that's on there. And the ink that I'm going to use is the ink that coordinates with this DSP, and I'll show you. We've got Calypso Coral and Melon Mambo. Both of them coordinate perfectly with these colours, so we're going to use that. Let's get that out of the way. And what I'm going to use, you can see I've been practicing my stamping there. I'm going to use some of this card just to create the stamped image first. I'm going to do that on white, and I'm going to use the Melon Mambo for the sentiment. I'm just going to get my stamp. It's already loaded onto my block. Just put that in the ink there, and I'm just going to stamp that there like that. Perfect. Usually what happens when I'm filming, the stamping always goes wrong. It's absolutely fine when I'm not filming. The minute the camera goes on, it all goes pear-shaped. So here's my scallop stamp. It's not scallop stamp at all, it's a Starburst stamp. I rotate it that way, and I slot the card in there and just line it up until I think I've got that stamped image centrally. Just squeeze it slightly, let go. Sometimes you need two hands for this, and out it pops. Now that's fine as it is. It needs a bit more, doesn't it? So let me get my Calypso Coral ink out, and I've pinched that one there. Now these aren't going to fit on there, but sometimes what I like to stamp, and I've seen other demonstrators do this, they stamp off the card. Let me show you what I mean. So we'll just load that with ink, and I'm just going to put a bit of that image on there. So I've stamped off there, but it doesn't matter. It's just giving us some extra colour and something extra to look at. This one here, I'm going to put that leaf there. And I'm just going to have a little bit there like that. So my grid paper becomes nice and decorated. I'm going to put that there like that, and stick a leaf in there to cover up that. And I just want one more bit here. I'll put a few more flowers there like that. I don't think they are flowers, I don't know what they are. It doesn't matter. So there we have our decorated, it was just stamped a piece of paper and decorated it like that. Just managed to put my finger in that ink. Now I want to put that, so I've got that, but I want to have this on the back of my stamped label. I could use that, I'm not sure. I think I'll use the back. I think I'll use this. So I'll get my Starburst punch out again and just stamp out one of those. And I'm going to get some wet glue for this. So this is Tombow. And I'm just going to spread some of that on there. The thing about using wet glue is that it gives you a little bit of wiggle room. You'll see what I mean. Don't go too far the edge over to the edge because it seeps out. So there's my stamped image, and I'm just going to plop that on there. I'm not going to line it up yet because the ink's not going to grab straight away. The glue's not going to grab straight away. And then just because that glue is wet, I'm then able to line up all of those little triangles. And there we go. Just need to move that slightly. There we are. So we've got that on the back, that on the front. So now we need to give this, put some ribbon on there, which I have put to one side and now can't find. That's typical. Bear with me while I find it. So the pink ribbon has just gone complete walkabout, so I've got the gold instead. It still goes with that. And I'm just going to take off a length of that and snip it. And put that to one side. Okay, so I'm going to start here. I'll start in there, because I'll be able to come around to here and then tie that. So just feed it through. So I've started there at the side. Let's just snip that frayed edge off there. And then through there. With the back, so that forms the other handle. Got that handle there like that. That's going to go back through the side. That will stop fraying once we've tied a knot in it. Back through the side again. Now when we get to here, gosh that's really fraying. When I get to here, I then need to consider that I've got to put this stamped label that I've got on here. So I've got no hole or anything on there to be able to attach that, so I need to put a hole on there. I've just got my gift bag punch board out again, and the holes that this created is in that corner, so I'm just going to carefully put that in there like that and create that hole. You can use a hole punch, you can use one of the single hole punches, entirely up to you. It's whatever works best for you. So back to here, and I'm going to thread that through my gift tag, put that through there, and I've met the other end, and I'm just going to tie those two together, and that will then sit in the corner of the bag. I've just formed a knot there like that, and I'm just going to trim that there because that will fray. My scissors need sharpening, and just nip that off there. So I don't want that knot to go through there, otherwise that will be visible. Just going to trim that off off a little bit because the knots come through there. So there is our gift bag. You could wrap quite a tall gift in there, wrap it in some nice paper and actually give it as a bag, and then you've got your sentiment on there as well. If you wanted to, you could do that completely in white, so then you could write on the back. It's entirely up to you. The project can be completely original to how you want it. So there we are. So that is a gift bag using the gift bag punch board. I'll leave the links for these in the description bar below. A link to my shop, link to the blog as well, which will give you some more information on how to complete this project. Thank you ever so much for stopping by and joining me, and I'll look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thanks, bye bye.